Good morning and welcome to this company presentation from Sesotec. My name is Jes Trygved and with me I have Martin Juhl. We will today give you an update on our activities and milestones and looking forward to present all this to you.
Okay, so we have received a number of questions and I'll just share some of them here with you guys. We will try to cover most of these questions. They are not the exact questions, but some of the questions we have received. Of course, there are some comments around the study and the potential impact going forward. We have more comments around or questions regarding the EMA approval, if it will have any impact. Feedback from hospitals, opportunities with dental clinics, US updates, and so forth. So there's a number of questions that we will try to address during this presentation, and feel free to ask as we go along. Maybe just to cover a few of them, it's really difficult to say at this point what kind of impact the results have on study 0202. We think we have very good data. Always difficult to evaluate what kind of impact it will have on the later commercialization, both in Europe and the US. It's also difficult to evaluate what it will have in terms of likelihood of approval from EMA. But we have a good progress, and we are positive and optimistic that the data will help us in the right direction here. But it's really difficult to promise something when we have not really started the interaction. There's so many other things in submission that can have an impact on approvability. Of course, we've had really good feedback from many of the hospitals who have been involved in this study. So this is super positive, and my colleague Martin maybe also tell a few things related to that as we go along. But basically, there has been only positive feedback from all the clinics. A few of you have asked any opportunities or considerations with the dental clinics. This is something that we are considering, and also in the US, there are many who are asking us this question, and we just simply have to wait and see how the feedback will be. And it's obviously not all dental clinics who will be able to use this because they need to have a license and so forth. And again, it varies from country to country. The US update will give a short update on that, and I know many of you have asked questions on that since we did the agreement with Ventis, and there's also been some questions around job descriptions on websites, and this is very detailed, but many of you ask super good questions, and you're very well informed, and we're very happy about that. So we'll come back to that. Then there was also some questions around the directed issue and why we did not use the loan facility, but we'll try to cover that. So very quickly, I think we've made a great progress in the last 3 to 4 years. We were extremely happy that we could present the data end of May on study 0202, which was the last results and the last study in our development program. And that is also why, since we had really good data, we decided to have a direct issue in the range of 10 million. We had really good feedback, and that's why we ended up taking on a little more money than we had initially planned. So thanks for the investors who participated in that. We are very close to having a EMA submission in place. This will take place within the next 3 to 6 months. We are finalizing a lot of the documentation. It's always difficult to evaluate if there's anything is missing or any data that could be stability data that is not ready in due time. So we can't communicate more precisely on that. And of course, we're 6 months from the first sales in the US. We'll give a little update on that. And a lot of people have asked us the questions regarding what's going to happen in 2026 and going forward. And we do have some considerations regarding US, but we really want to see the early access program and how this goes before we will start the interactions with the FDA. And of course, we also have a quite good pipeline that we at some point will like to initiate. But this is just to tell you guys as investors that there's no plan of any direct or right issues in this year or potentially or not even next year. We really want to focus on the approval with CT-001, and we also want to make sure that we get a good start in the US. So with that, we have about 10 slides, and we hope that we will cover most of the questions. And again, sorry for the technical challenges here, but I hope we will manage to answer all the questions that you have put forward. Just a little reminder of why Sessotech was created. This was out of a large unmet need at Rigshospitalet in Copenhagen, who understood that the children, as many of you probably also have experienced, do not like these needles, and it can be a very traumatic experience sometimes to be hospitalized or be part of an accident where you need to get pain treatment. So this was really taken out of an unmet need, and I think both pipeline product 1 and 2 is with the same focus, that there's a large unmet need, which is something that children do not like. And of course, with the start of COVID and use of nasal sprays, we also believe that there's much more awareness around the benefits of using nasal sprays, and this will hopefully benefit us going forward. Also acknowledging that more than 70% of the medication used in the hospital is offline, not offline, off-label, and why there's so much need for solutions for children. So we think we still have a unique space, and we think there's a lot of opportunities both with CT-001, but also with the rest of the pipeline. Just a very short reminder of why we are here and how we do our business model. We do not have any research. We do not have any in-house development. We are a very, let's say, virtual organization in the sense that we have outsourced much of these activities. And when we look for new drug candidates, it's very important for us that we have seen some track record in terms of safety from the past, but of course also efficacy, because the drugs that we are using have either been used in adults before or in a different formulation where we have some experience. And that basically means that we believe we have a higher likelihood of success, as we already know the safety profile, but we also to some extent know the efficacy. Of course, timelines are reduced, and this makes it a lot cheaper for us and a lot faster for us to have this process ongoing. And of course, this is also a significant cost reduction compared to what it normally costs to do a full development program. And of course, very important to understand that we are adhering to the EMA PUMA approval process that gives us data exclusivity, but it also gives us a guideline, and we basically have the development program approved by EMA before we start all the studies. And hopefully that's going to make the whole process a little easier once we go for the PUMA approval. That was very brief, and I'm sure some of you have heard this many times, but we'll share the slides afterwards in case there are any questions. We'll mostly talk about CT-001 today and what we have done and the plans with Europe and US, but of course we also have a pipeline that has been put a little bit on hold in the years, mainly because of let's say the climate in terms of attracting capital, that we want to focus more on CT-001 for the time being. CT-001 is a nasal spray for acute pain. It has an indication or an intended indication for acute pain and moderate and severe pain for children at the age of 1 to 17. We have a good efficacy, as we've also seen in the studies. We have an onset of action around 10 minutes or even less in some of the data we have. We are happy that we have a very good safety profile. And of course, we have 2 presentations, so meaning that the study can be used for different ages and different weight groups with different puffs. Instruction for use and handling at room temperature is of course also very important, especially the room temperature, as this of course do not need any cold chain distribution or special storage in the hospitals or the emergency units. We have completed all the program, and we are, as I mentioned before, initiating the regulatory process as we speak. And what we want to give you a little update on today is the data that we have presented in May. This is still top-line data, and the reason we are not sharing so much still is, of course, that we have a lot of data to still be not only analyzed, but it needs to be placed in different publications, so forth. So we have to be a little careful on what we share now in order for us to jeopardize the potential publications later on. But my colleague Martin Juul will just take you through a few of the slides, and let's see if there's any questions as we go along. We can try to answer them.
Yes, thanks everybody for joining and and having an interest in Sesotec and the new results that we have. And as you know, this was a clinical trial across Europe in 7 different emergency room departments in both Spain and UK. And the collected data from that is presented here in the slide, where you can see the, as Jes alluded to, the onset of action is quite fast. We see a significant drop in pain in the children over time. And what we can see is that the golden standard within pain research is 50% pain reduction, and we are way below 50% pain reduction as an average of all the patients. So at 30 minutes we have 75% pain reduction, and at 60 minutes we have 86%, and that is best in class in terms of what we see across other programs and literature data. And one example is, of course, the nasal diamorphine that's been on the market, and they had a big study with 404 children in the study, and they saw 64% pain reduction, and intramuscular morphine had 60% pain reduction at 60 minutes. So we're definitely on par, if not better than the competitors that have approved medication out there, as we see it right now. And for the next slide, this is just addressing some of the comments some of the investors had in terms of comparing the new results from the clinical study 0202 with the modeling study we've presented previously. And this is a split out between the different weight groups that we dose in the different trials we've done. And here you can see that the model and the study predicts really, really well the efficacy. We see a little bit better efficacy in the young children than in the older children, but we are still way below 50% on all weight groups. There's a little bit of a discrepancy, as you can see, between the 30 and 45, but nothing that is clinically meaningful, as we are still below the 50% pain reduction in all of them. So we are quite satisfied with what we are seeing, and the overall pain reduction from the model predicted 82% median pain reduction, and we are seeing 75%. But we also have to take into account the different weight groups in the model. It's evenly distributed. In the clinical trial, it was a little skewed to having more patients in the older ones, and they have a little bit less efficacy, as you can see. So the numbers will not match completely, but if you account for that, they are basically the same. So we are very happy about the results we got out of 0202. And as Jes alluded to, we also have comments from the doctors around the clinical sites saying that they think this is a unique product in the sense that it doesn't only address the pain reduction, but they're also seeing a phenomenon where the anxiety of the children coming in, if children coming in with around 8 to 10 out of 10 in pain scales with very severe pain, when they get this within 5 to 10 minutes, they are calmed down and have the both analgesic effect, the pain reduction, but they also do have this anxiety relieving effect, which we think could come from the ketamine being in there. So they are saying that that's not something they've seen before, and something they're quite excited about. So and this is a different way of presenting some of the data, also comparing the 0202 study, that's the first one on the left, to the model predictions of 0208 in the middle there. And this is a responder data. So how many had a pain reduction of at least 50%. How many patients, if you take 100 patients, how many would have a pain reduction of at least 50%? And here we can see that they are very, very high also. 86% out of 100 in the clinical trial had the golden standard of 50%. Typically, you say clinically meaningful pain reduction is 30%. So we put the bar even higher at 50%, and 50% you can see here is 86 out of 100 would have that after 30 minutes, and the model predicted 84. So we are very much on par also with what we did do in modeling earlier and presented a year ago.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Thanks, Martin. As I think we all, at least at Sesotec, are very happy with these data, and we will have an opportunity to share much more details as we go along. But it was, of course, a huge milestone for us to have this in place and with such good results. I don't think we have seen that before. The next couple of slides is a little bit some of the goals that we put forward a couple of years ago. What is it we wanted to achieve? And I think we have achieved almost all of them. Of course, any company needs a really good organization, but we also need to have a manufacturing place in Austria, which is covering most of Europe, or all of Europe and the rest of the world. We have worked with our partner there for nearly 5 years now. We also managed to get the PIP for CT002, so the regulatory endorsement from EMA. We did that in 2024. And of course, recently we had the last patient in study 0202, which was sort of the final mark before we could initiate the regulatory process. So the last thing that we are missing as an internal benchmark to what is it we wanted to achieve before we could sort of say now we believe that we have a model that is working both in terms of development, but of course we have also focused a lot over the years to make sure we have some good commercial leadership with the 2 partnerships we have made. In August last year, we signed an agreement with a UK-based company, Provega. They are focusing, or as most other companies would do in Europe, on the major markets, but they also have partnerships in many of the smaller and, of course, selected rest of world countries. This is a royalty-based agreement, meaning that they are in charge of the regulatory market access process and, of course, the whole commercialization, which is interesting for us. And the manufacturing, the CMO, will be out of Austria. We have not enclosed exact details of when we are submitting the file, but this will be during this year. And of course, it's in collaboration with Provega, who's taking the lead on that. Now, maybe more important is, of course, the agreement we, or at least here in this year, is the agreement we made with US-based Ventis Pharma. We signed that in 2022, so that's some time ago. But one of the main challenges for us has clearly been to make sure that we have a manufacturing setup in the US. So Ventis Pharma is a pure commercial organization. They have a really good track record, and they have a good team of reps covering the most relevant states and hospitals for us. The challenge for the US has clearly been the manufacturing, and this is due to that we could not use the facilities in Austria for a number of reasons. One, also because it's a controlled substance, so it's even more complicated to make import-export. So we had to set up this in the US, and this is what I'll give you a little update on why we have been a little delayed. But before that, I think we can say that we are done with 90% of all the marketing material. We have packs, we have all the material which is basically ready, but of course we have not pushed the button yet. And that is something that has been a challenge to us. I think now we, of course, with the announcement of this presentation, we'll give a little update, and we're happy that we found a good solution. In the US, we've had 3 factories that we have collaborated with in over the last 2 years. And this was basically the same in Europe before we started or we finalized with the process of the factory in Austria. The key issue has been that we had to change the manufacturer. So many of you have asked the question about this company WRP, job descriptions and so forth. Or not many of you, but a few of you. And this was a manufacturer that we started with out of the state of New York. But we have not continued with them, and we changed that setup to another manufacturer in the middle of US, which is not only actually much bigger, but we also find that it's a better partner for us. But the key issue is really, as it was also in Europe, that we have manufacturing with no preservatives. That means that we have to have a completely sterile process, and we also have to deal with controlled substances. And we have to make sure that the FDA has approved this manufacturing setup. So that is actually the main reason. It has nothing to do with the commercial setup. It has been the challenge of getting this tech transfer in place from let's say us to the US. And we are extremely happy with the setup we have now in Central America, or in the middle of America here, and we're not working with the setup we had out of New York, and that has been the main reason. So unfortunately, we can't say yet exactly when we will be able to launch. We are pending on manufacturing both of the stability data, which will take not more than 2 to 3 months, hopefully, and then hopefully end of the year we would have a launch ready with CT01 in the US, and again only because of the whole manufacturing setup. So I would say in the years that we have had Sesotec up and running, 80% of our challenges has been related to manufacturing. Also in Austria, I think the Austrian setup is running really well now, and the US setup will also run well end of this year, and we'll have products available. But it's a huge effort, and I'm really grateful that Martin, among others, has been able to help us in the right direction here. So in short, we still hope to have sales end of the year. We have some stability data that we, of course, need to make sure is okay. That has not been an issue in Europe, but of course, we need to make sure that we both have stability data before we can go out and launch. And typically, we don't need more than 2 to 3 months of stability data before we can, extend that as we go along. And that has also been the setup in Europe. I hope that answers some of the questions regarding US. We are still super optimistic. Everyone are working hard, and we still see this as being a very good opportunity. Of course, what has happened in the last 6 months in the US, we don't believe will have a huge impact on us. There will, of course, be tariffs and so forth, but this will be on each of the items and not the final product. So maybe in the end, we will actually benefit more than we thought with a setup in the US, as opposed to just exporting from Europe to US. But we will have a setup, and hopefully that will benefit us. That is all that we will cover for the US setup. Feel free if we have left something out. So in short, all the things that a few of you have mentioned around the site in New York is not really relevant and has not been relevant for a number of months. But of course, we have not communicated clearly around who we are working with and all our vendors and so forth. This is really done mainly at a level together with Ventis Pharma. I want to give you a little update on the financials. It's always important for a small company like us. Over the years since we started, we have raised around 90 million kroner. It may sound like a lot of money, but when you compare to drug development, this is actually very little compared to what normally is the case when you have to develop new products. We have recently had a direct issue of about 15 million. We had a loan facility that we decided not to use. We still have that option, but we thought it would be better for us to have a small direct issue, so we have a little bit of in case we have a little bit of a gap here. And of course, we have income coming from 2026, both from Provika, but also from the US. We do anticipate that there will be some end of this year, 2025, but it will not be, it will probably be small amount numbers, but the most important thing for us is to get the product on the market and available to the first hospitals. Basically, we have had a few questions also regarding our burn rate, and as we have ended our development program, we only have running costs of a hybrid, let's say, organization, and we don't have any more development costs in the second half of 2025. And the main part of our activities and costs going forward will be related to the US. And of course, there's also organizational, let's say, development or running costs, offices, and so forth that needs to be, but we have no big development projects or costs in the near future before we at least start with the FDA program in the US. But we want to have some months of sales before we want to initiate that, and that will likely not be us alone, but most likely as a joint effort with Ventis Pharma. A little bit on the share. We have now 18 million shares. We have approximately 3,600 shareholders. Most of these, about 75%, are based in Denmark, and we have roughly 900. The numbers, of course, change daily, around 900 in Sweden. That's at least what we see from the source Avanza. We have a few larger shareholders, but some of these are individuals within family offices, and that's why some of them are still very insignificant in the total picture here. And as you can see, there's still a large group of individuals who have even higher shares sometimes than these institutional or family offices. And we have no obligations to report on this unless when they start to be above 5%. What is a little bit interesting is, of course, also to follow the daily traded volume. This year we are a little lower, on average around 300,000 Danish kroner, which is quite good for a small company like us. We had a little higher last year. For a number of reasons we are not always quite sure of, but this is a quite good daily traded volume for a small company like Sessotech. With that,
we're coming to an end with our presentation. Thank you for all the questions. We are looking forward to a very exciting year ahead. We'll be back after the summer holidays with more details and exact timing of the US launch. But thanks for your participation and all the questions. Thank you.